The sky was dark from the remains of destroyed fighters. Human tanks stood in a long line. Soldiers waited behind them, holding tight to their weapons. Across the field stood the alien army. They were tall, strong, silent. Their armor shined like black glass. Their weapons glowed with red energy. And in the center of them all stood their ruler, the alien queen. She was taller than the others. Her armor looked alive, like it was part of her body. 2 long blades rested on her back. Her eyes burned with red light. Humans feared her name. She had defeated many worlds. She never showed mercy. Both armies waited for the final command to attack. The wind blew across the empty space between them. One signal, that was all it would take. Then a small movement broke the silence. At first, no one noticed. Then a human soldier shouted, "Wait!" From behind the human tanks, a small child ran forward. He was no older than 6. His clothes were dirty. His face was covered in tears. He was running straight toward the battlefield. "Stop him!" a commander yelled, but the soldiers were too shocked to move. The boy kept running. He crossed the human line. He passed the broken guns followed. One wrong move and the child would be gone in seconds. But he did not stop. He was crying loudly now. He looked small and fragile. In the middle of 2 powerful armies, the alien queen raised one hand. Her army froze. They waited for her order. The child kept running. The human commander screamed into his radio, "Shoot near him. Scare him back." But no one fired. Something felt wrong. The boy was not scared of the aliens. He was not scared of the weapons. He was running toward them. No, he was running toward her. The alien queen watched him carefully. Her red eyes followed his every step. Queen's armored body. He wrapped his small arms around her leg, and he cried, "Mom, please don't let them hurt me again." The battlefield became completely silent. Even the wind seemed to stop. Human soldiers stared in shock. Alien warriors looked at each other in confusion. No one understood what they had just heard. The queen did not move. Her body stood like stone. Glowing red eyes slowly looked down at the child holding her. The boy was shaking. His tears fell onto her dark armor. He pressed his face against her as if she was his only safety. The human commander whispered, "What is happening?" An alien general stepped forward. "My queen," he said carefully, "shall we remove the human?" She did not answer. Her hands slowly lowered, not in attack, but gently. She placed her large armored hand near the child's back. The soldiers gasped. Was she protecting him? The boy looked up at her face. His eyes were full of fear. "Please, don't leave me again," he said softly. Again. The queen's red eyes flickered. For a brief moment, the glow in her eyes became softer, like a fading fire. Deep inside her mind, something moved, a memory. A destroyed laboratory. Smoke. Fire. And destroy all human experiments. She had entered the lab ready to kill. But when she saw the baby, something else. She had felt something unexpected. Not anger, not hate, something warmer. She had left him alive, but humans had taken the child away before she could return. And now, he stood here on the battlefield. Calling her mom. The alien general spoke again, louder this time. "My queen, this is a human trick. Give the order. We will end this war now." Human commanders also recovered from shock. "This is our chance." One shouted, "She is distracted. Aim at her." Weapons slowly rose on both sides. The tension returned. One wrong decision would start the bloodshed. The child held her tighter. "They said you were a monster," he whispered. "But I knew you would come." Soldiers. Thousands of lives waited for her command. She was the most feared being in the galaxy. She never hesitated. She never showed weakness. But now her hand remained on the back of a crying human child, and she did not push him away. The human commander raised his arm. "Fire on my signal." Alien cannons began to charge with red energy. The queen slowly lifted her head. Her eyes burned bright again. But this time, there was something different in that fire. Not just rage, not just power, something deeper. Something dangerous. She opened her mouth to speak. And every soldier on that battlefield held their breath. Because whatever she said only one word: stand down. Her voice was calm, but it carried across the entire battlefield. Every alien warrior lowered their weapon at once. Human soldiers looked at each other in confusion. The child was still holding her leg. His small hands were shaking. The queen slowly bent down. For the first time in many years, she knelt on a battlefield. Gasps spread across both armies. The most feared ruler in the galaxy disappeared from her mind. Her thoughts pulled her back. Many years ago. It was not a battlefield back then. It was a secret human lab. Cold. Hidden under a kata. Broken city. Her army had attacked that planet because humans were building illegal weapons. Dangerous experiments. Biological research. She was sent to destroy everything. No. Scientists ran in fear. Alarms screamed. Fire spread through the building. The queen walked through the smoke. Level of the lab. That was when she heard it. A cry. Soft. Weak. Not a soldier. Not a scientist. A baby. She followed the sound. In the center of the room was a glass chamber. Inside it was a small human baby boy, connected to wires. Machines around him blinked with strange alien symbols. She looked at the data screen. The child's DNA was not normal. It was mixed. Human DNA and alien DNA. Her DNA. The scientists had stolen her genetic code from old battle remains. They were trying to create something new, a bridge between species, or maybe a weapon. The baby opened his eyes. He looked directly at her. No fear. Just tears. And something else. Recognition. Her soldiers waited behind her. My queen, one said. Shall we destroy the experiment? His tiny hand toward her through the glass, and she froze. She did not understand the feeling inside her chest. It was not weakness. It was not fear. It was first time in her long life. She felt something that was not war. She lowered her blade. Destroy the lab, she ordered, but leave this chamber. Her soldiers were shocked, but they obeyed. The lab burned. The building collapsed. She stayed until the fire died. Then she quietly removed the zone on the planet. Far from war. She told herself it was only understand humans. But deep inside, she knew that was not the real reason. Days later, human forces returned. They found the child. They took him away, and she never saw him. Was no longer a baby, but his eyes were the same. He looked at her like he knew her, like he trusted her. The human commanders began whispering into their radios. She is hesitating. This is working. Prepare phase 2. The queen heard that. Her sharp senses could hear even the smallest voice. This was planned. The child was not here. By accident. The humans brought him here. They used him. As bait. The boy looked up at her. They told me you would come, he said softly. They said if I ran to you, you would stop the war. Her eyes slowly turned toward the human army. Anger rose inside her. Not because of the war, but because they used him, one of her alien generals stepped forward. My queen, this is clearly manipulation. Give the order. We end this now. Across the field, a human commander raised his hand again. Target locked, he said quietly. Hidden snipers aimed at the queen's head. Missile systems prepared to fire. They believed she was weak. They believed. Emotions made her weak. The child held her tighter. They said you are a monster, he whispered. But I remember you. You carried me. The queen's mind shook. He remembered. That was impossible. He was only a baby, unless the experiment worked. The shared DNA. The connection. She slowly stood up, lifting the child gently into her arms. The entire battlefield gasped again. Alien warriors stepped back in shock. Humans tightened their fingers on their triggers. She held the child close to her chest, like a shield, like something precious. Then she spoke loudly, her voice echoing across the burning field. You used him. Her eyes burned brighter than ever. You turned a child into a weapon. The human commander shouted, Fire! But before any shot could be fired, the queen moved faster than anyone could see. A wave of energy exploded from her body, not an attack. Shield. It covered her. And the child. Bullets hit the invisible wall and fell to the ground. Missiles exploded harmlessly in the sky. Both armies stared in shock. The queen looked down at the boy. Her voice was softer now. They will not hurt you. But the real trap had just begun. Far above the battlefield, a silent satellite woke up. It had been sleeping for years, hidden in space, invisible to alien scanners, invisible even to most human soldiers. But now it was active. A green light blinked, target locked. Below, on the battlefield, no one noticed. The alien queen still held the child in her arms. Her energy shield slowly faded. Smoke moved around her like dark clouds. The human commander lowered his weapon slowly. He was sweating. This was not the full plan, he whispered into his radio. A cold. Phase 3 is ready. The commander's face turned pale. That was not approved, he said quickly. It is now, the voice replied. Then the signal ended. The child looked up at the queen. His tears had stopped. They told me you left me, he said softly. They said you were afraid of me. The queen's jaw tightened. Not of death, but she did feel something else, regret. Before she could speak, a strange sound filled the air. It was not a missile, not a gun. It was a deep vibration. Like the sky itself was shaking. Alien soldiers looked upward. Human soldiers looked confused. Then suddenly, every alien warrior screamed. They dropped their weapons. They fell to their knees, holding their heads. The queen felt it too. A sharp pain inside her mind. Not physical, mental, an attack. The humans had built a psychic disruptor. It was designed to attack alien neural systems, to break their minds, to make them weak. The queen almost fell, but she stayed standing, because the child was still in her arms. Around her, her powerful army was collapsing. Strong warriors shaking like frightened children. The human commander stepped forward slowly. Now he understood. This is our chance, he whispered. The child suddenly grabbed the queen's face. Stop, he cried. The pain inside her mind grew stronger. She could hear thousands of alien thoughts screaming at once. The humans had studied them for years. They had prepared this weapon carefully. The queen tried to create another shield. But this attack was not physical. It went directly into her brain. The human commander raised his gun. End it, he ordered. Several elite soldiers stepped forward. They aimed directly at the queen, at close range. The child turned his head toward the human soldiers, and something changed. His eyes began to glow. Not red, not human brown, a soft silver light. The vibration in the air suddenly shifted. The psychic signal from space flickered. The hidden satellite glitched. Inside human control rooms far away, alarms started ringing. Signal unstable. Energy feedback detected. Back on the battlefield, the queen felt something new. The pain was still there. But now, there was another presence in her mind. Small, gentle, but powerful. The child, he was connecting to her. Through their shared DNA, through something deeper than science. The boy screamed, and a wave of energy burst outward. Not violent, but strong. High in orbit, fire flashed for a second, then darkness. On the battlefield, the vibration stopped instantly. Human soldiers stared in horror. That's impossible, one whispered. The commander stepped back. "What is that child?" he asked, in fear. The queen looked down at the boy in her arms. He was breathing fast. His glow slowly faded. "I didn't want them to hurt you," he said weakly. The queen understood now. DNA, it was about linking minds. The child was not only half alien, he was something new. Something both species did not understand, and that made him dangerous. Very dangerous. The alien general slowly stood up. They looked at the humans with new anger. "You attacked our minds," one growled. "This means total war." Human soldiers began to panic. Their secret weapon was gone, destroyed by a child. The queen. Her red eyes burned brighter than ever before. "You used him again," she said coldly. The human commander tried to speak, but fear had already spread through his troops. Then suddenly, a loud explosion came from behind the human lines. Everyone turned. A massive human war machine rolled forward, larger than any tank, covered in heavy weapons. It was not part of the public army. It was black, unmarked, secret. The commander's face turned white. No, they sent it. The machine's cannons powered up. It was not aiming at the aliens. It was aiming at the child. The queen tightened her grip around him. And now, both sides were starting to lose it. The massive cannon fired. And this time, there was no shield ready. The blast reached her before the sound did. A white light covered the battlefield. Heat burned the air. The ground cracked under her feet. For a second, everything turned silent. Then explosion threw dust and fire into the sky. Human soldiers were pushed back by the shockwave. Alien warriors covered their faces. The giant black war machine continued to hum, its cannon glowing red from the shot. When the smoke began to clear, everyone searched for one thing: the queen and the child. Slowly, a shadow appeared inside the dust. She was still standing, but barely. Her armor was broken in many places. Cracks ran across her chest plate. One of the long blades on her back had fallen to the ground. And in her arms. The child was safe. She had turned her body at the last second. She had taken the full blast on her back. The battlefield went silent again. Alien generals stared in disbelief. Their queen had used herself as a shield. Not for her empire. Not for her army. But for a human child. The boy looked up at her. Her red eyes were dim now, flickering. "You're hurt," he whispered. She did not answer. She slowly turned toward the black war machine. Her voice was weaker than before, but still alive. Inside the human command vehicle far behind the lines, a different general watched the scene on a screen. His uniform was darker. No medals, no public rank. He was part of Earth's secret defense program. He spoke calmly. "Fire again." The public human commander shouted into his radio. "Stop, there's a child there." But the secret general did not care. "That child is not human anymore," he said coldly. "He is a threat." The massive cannon began charging again. Alien warriors prepared to rush forward. "This is war," one general shouted. But the queen raised her broken hand, and they stopped, even injured, even weak. Her command was absolute. She slowly placed the child down behind her. "Stay here," she said quietly. He grabbed her arm. "Don't go." For a moment, her glowing eyes softened again. Then she stepped forward. Alone. Between the two armies. Her armor was damaged. Her energy levels were low. But she walked forward, without fear. Each step left a heavy mark in the broken ground. The Black War machine aimed directly at her chest. The secret human general smiled slightly. End of the alien queen. The cannon fired again. This time, she did not block it. She did not dodge. Instead, she dropped her weapons. Both blades fell to the ground. Clang. The sound echoed across the field. Alien soldiers gasped. Humans froze in confusion. She opened her arms wide, and let the blast hit. The explosion swallowed her body. Flames rose high into the sky. The child screamed. Alien warriors roared in anger. Human soldiers stepped back in shock when the fire slowly faded. She was on her knees. Armor almost destroyed, smoke rising from her body, but she was still alive. Barely. She looked directly at the human lines and spoke with the last of her strength. "If you want war," she coughed, dark liquid falling to the ground, "then fight me." Her voice grew louder, "but leave the child out of it." The battlefield trembled, not from weapons, but from emotion. Even human soldiers felt it. She could have attacked. She could have ordered her full army to destroy Earth in minutes, but she chose to stand alone, to protect one small life. The child slowly walked toward her again. His small face was no longer crying. It was serious, angry. The black war machine began charging. For a third shot, the secret general shouted, "Finish this!" But something unexpected happened. Human soldiers in the front lines did not move. One lowered his weapon, then another. "We're not shooting," one said. "There's a child there." The public human commander slowly removed his helmet. "This isn't what we signed up for," he said quietly. Inside the control vehicle, alarms started ringing. Sir, frontline units refusing to fire. The secret general's face turned red with anger. "Then fire remotely." But before the cannon could shoot again, the child stepped in front of the queen. He raised his small hands, and his eyes began to glow. Silver once more, this time brighter than before. The ground beneath him cracked, not from destruction, but from once more energy rising upward. The sky darkened. Clouds began to spin. Both armies stared in fear. The queen looked at the child, and for the first time, she realized something powerful. He was not just someone she saved years ago. He was not just an experiment. He was something new. Something beyond both human and alien. And now, he was angry, very angry. The war machine systems suddenly shut down. Its weapons powered off. Every human device on the battlefield flickered. The secret the child's voice echoed strangely, not loud, but heard by everyone. "No more." The wind stopped. Weapons fell silent. And for the first time since the war began, the battlefield felt something different. Not fear, not hate. But change, and this change was only beginning. The sky stopped working. That was the first strange thing people noticed. Satellites above the planet went dark. Warships in orbit lost control. Screens inside command centers turned black. Missiles froze in the air and dropped like dead metal. It was as if the sky itself refused to follow human orders. On the battlefield, soldiers looked up in fear. Nothing responded. No signals. No systems. Only silence. In the center of the broken land stood a small human child with glowing silver eyes. The alien queen was still on her knees behind him, badly injured. Her armor was cracked. Smoke rose from her body, but she was alive. Because of him. The child's small hands were still raised. His voice had only said 2 words, "No more." Yet those words felt heavier than any weapon. Human commanders shouted into dead radios, "Reconnect! Restart! The systems! Launch manual override!" Nothing worked. Alien warriors slowly stood up again. Their weapons were active now. Their minds were clear. They stared at the child in silence. The queen forced herself to stand. She walked slowly to him. Even though each step caused pain, she placed one broken hand gently on his shoulder. "Enough," she said softly. The silver light in his eyes flickered, but it did not disappear. Far behind the battlefield, inside a hidden underground base, the secret human general watched emergency lights flash red. All orbital control lost. Global defense grid offline. Unknown energy source detected. He clenched his fists. "It's the boy," one scientist whispered. The general turned sharply. "Explain." The scientist's hands were shaking over the keyboard. His DNA is acting like a living signal tower. He is connecting to every electronic system, not hacking, controlling. That's impossible, the general said. The scientist swallowed. He is not fully human, and not fully alien. His brain can process both biological and digital patterns. He can feel machines like they are alive. Back on the battlefield, human soldiers slowly stepped back. They were no longer looking at the alien queen. They were looking at the child. Some were afraid. Some were confused. And some were ashamed. The public human commander removed his weapon and placed it on the ground. This was never about protecting Earth, he said quietly to his men. This was about control. The alien queen looked across the field. Her voice was weak, but steady. You built him to be a weapon. She turned her burning eyes toward the human lines. But you forgot something. She looked down at the child. He can choose. The child lowered his hands slowly. The sky remained quiet. No machines moved. No guns fired. He turned to face the humans. They told me aliens are monsters, he said. His voice was simple, soft, but she saved me. He pointed at the queen. They said she would destroy Earth. He paused, but she protected me. The words were not powerful like a speech. They were small. Honest. And that made them stronger. An alien general stepped forward. My queen, we should attack now. Their systems are dead. We can end this war. Many alien soldiers agreed. This was the perfect moment. The humans were weak, defenseless. But the queen did not give the order. Instead, she asked something unexpected. Child, what do you want? The battlefield became silent again. Even the wind waited. The boy looked at the broken land. At the burned ships. At the injured soldiers on both sides. I don't want anyone else to cry, he said simply. His silver eyes dimmed slowly. In the underground base, alarms suddenly stopped. Systems began to restart one by one. Power returned, but something had changed. Every weapon system now required manual approval from ground soldiers. Remote override was gone. The secret general stared at the screen in disbelief. He rewrote the defense code. The scientist whispered. The child had not destroyed human technology. He had changed it. He removed secret control access. No more hidden commands. No more silent launches. Only direct choice on the battlefield. Human soldiers received system updates on their wrist screens. Authorization required. Local confirmation. They looked at each other. No one wanted to press the fire button. The alien queen slowly looked toward her army. If we continue, she said quietly, millions will die. She turned back to the humans. Your leaders tried to control fear. We tried to answer it with power. She looked down at the child again, but he chose something else. The child walked forward alone. Between both armies. No shield. No glow. Just a small human boy. He stretched out one hand toward the humans and one toward the aliens. For a long moment, no one moved. Then something unexpected happened. An alien soldier removed his helmet. He dropped his weapon. A human soldier did the same. Then another and another. Weapons slowly touched the ground. Not because of force. Not because of fear, but because they were tired. The queen watched carefully. She knew this moment was fragile. One wrong action could break it. Far away, in the underground base, the secret general reached for a hidden emergency switch, a final weapon, a last option. If he pressed it, everything would end. His finger hovered over the button. On the battlefield, the child suddenly looked up. His silver eyes flashed again. He could feel it. Someone was about to choose destruction. And this time he was ready. Deep underground, far from the battlefield, one red button waited in silence. It was small. Round. Simple. But it could burn half the planet. The secret human general stared at it. Sweat ran down his face. On the large screens around him, he could see the battlefield. He could see soldiers lowering their weapons. He could see the alien queen standing weak but alive. And in the center, the child. That boy is the real threat. The general whispered. If we let him live, humans will never be in control again. Young officer beside him shook his head. Sir, the armies are standing down. The war is stopping. The general's eyes were cold. Peace is just another word for weakness. His finger moved closer to the red button dot above ground on the battlefield. The child suddenly stopped walking. His body froze. The alien queen noticed first. What is it? She asked quietly. The boy's silver eyes began to glow again, but this time, not with anger, with fear. There's something else. He whispered. He could feel it. A signal. Not from the sky, not from machines. From deep, below the earth. A final weapon. One that did not need satellites. One that could not be blocked easily. The alien queen turned her head toward the human lines. She saw confusion on their faces. This was not their plan, she understood. Someone else was still trying to continue the war. Far underground. The general pressed his hand down, but before he could push the button, every screen in the room flickered. Lights went out. The air felt heavy. The young officer stepped back. Sir, something is inside the system again. The general growled. I shut that down. But the child was not attacking the machines this time. He was doing something different. On the battlefield, the boy closed his eyes. He was not standing like a weapon. He looked small again. Fragile. The queen stepped closer to protect him. Alien soldiers formed a wall around them. Human soldiers watched in silence. The boy reached deeper with his mind. Not into circuits, not into weapons. Into people. Into thoughts. Into fear. Deep underground. The general suddenly froze. He heard something, not with his ears, inside his head. A memory. His daughter. Smiling. Holding his hand. Years ago. Before the wars became bigger. Before fear ruled everything. The red button in front of him started to blur. On. The battlefield. The child's voice echoed softly in every soldier's mind. Why are you so afraid? Human soldiers looked around in shock. They all heard it. Alien warriors. 2. The boy was not shouting. He was asking. Deep underground. The general fell to his knees. More memories rushed into him. Cities burning. Civilians crying. Orders he gave without looking at faces. He tried to block it, but he could not. The child was not controlling him. He was showing him the cost. The officer beside the general stepped forward slowly. Sir, we can still choose differently. The red button was still there. Still active, but it felt heavier now, like it carried every death that would follow. On the battlefield, the queen felt the child's strength fading. This is too much, she said quietly. He was connecting to thousands of minds at once. Human. Alien. He was forcing them to feel each other's pain, and it was exhausting him. The human commander on the battlefield slowly removed his helmet again. He looked at the queen. We didn't know about the last weapon, he said honestly. She believed him, because she could feel the truth in the air. Deep underground. The general finally screamed in frustration. He slammed his fist next to the red button, but he did not press it. Instead, he pulled his hand away. The lights in the base slowly returned. Systems restarted normally. No launch. No explosion. On the battlefield, the child collapsed forward. The queen caught him before he hit the ground. His silver glow faded completely. He looked like a normal boy again. Small. Tired. You see, he whispered weakly. They can choose. Then he closed his eyes. The queen held him carefully for a moment. Fear entered her heart. Alien medics rushed forward. Human soldiers did not move to attack. No. One wanted to break this moment. High above, the clouds slowly cleared. The battlefield was quiet. No weapons firing. No Explosions. Just two armies standing face to face, and between them, a child who almost gave everything to stop the war. The queen lifted her head and looked toward the human lines. This war ends now, she said firmly. No one argued. No one raised a weapon. But far in the distance, beyond radar. Beyond vision, a fleet of unknown ships was entering the system. Watching. Waiting. And they were not human. They were not part of the Queen's empire either. Someone else had noticed the child's power, and they were coming. The war ended, but the universe did not look away. Far beyond Earth's moon, beyond the broken alien ships, beyond human satellites, unknown vessels floated in silence. They were not human. They were not part of the alien Queen's empire. They had been watching everything. The battle. The child, the power. And now they were interested on the battlefield. There was no fighting. Only wind moving across ash and metal. The alien Queen stood still, holding the unconscious child in her arms. Alien medics had checked him. He is alive, one said, but his energy is very low. Human soldiers had stepped back fully now. Weapons rested on the ground. No one wanted to start the war again. The public human commander slowly walked forward. He stopped a safe distance away from the Queen. This ends today, he said quietly. The Queen looked at him. Her armor was still damaged. Cracks glowed faintly across her chest. But she stood tall. Yes, she replied, for both sides. Behind them, alien generals were not fully comfortable. Peace felt strange. War was simple. Peace was uncertain. Suddenly, a new sound filled the sky. Not loud. But deep. Like space itself was moving. Every soldier looked up. Clouds parted. 3 massive ships appeared above the atmosphere. Dark, silver. Smooth. Silent. They were larger than any human carrier, larger than any alien destroyer. The Queen's eyes narrowed. She recognized the design, the observers. She whispered. Human commanders exchanged confused looks. Observers? One asked. The Queen spoke slowly. They do not interfere in wars. They only come when something changes the balance of the galaxy. All eyes turned toward the child in her arms. At that same moment, his fingers moved slightly. His eyes opened slowly. No silver glow this time. Just tired human eyes. He looked up at the sky. They felt it, he said softly. The ships above sent a beam of light down to the battlefield. Not a weapon, a scan. Every device on Earth shut down again. But this time gently. No sparks. No damage. Just silence. A voice echoed from the sky. It was calm. Ancient. Identify the hybrid. Human soldiers stepped back in fear. Alien warriors prepared for possible attack. The Queen stepped forward instead. He is under my protection, she said firmly. The voice responded. He carries integration potential. He is a risk to structured power systems. The human commander frowned. What does that mean? The Queen understood. It means, she said quietly, they fear he can unite species. The child slowly stood on his own. He felt weak, but steady. He looked at the massive ships without fear. They don't want change, he said. The sky remained dark as the voice spoke again. Hybrid must be removed for galactic stability. Alien warriors roared in anger. Human soldiers lifted weapons again without thinking. The Queen stepped in front of the child. No. Her voice carried more power than before. You will not touch him. For a moment, it looked like a new war would begin. Not human versus alien, but galaxy versus Earth. The child gently touched the Queen's arm. It's okay, he said. He stepped around her. Both armies watched in fear. He raised his head toward the sky. You watch wars, he said calmly. You measure power. He took a deep breath. But you never feel it. Silence followed. Then his voice changed slightly, not louder, but clearer. You think peace is dangerous. But fear is more Dangerous. The silver light returned to his eyes. Soft at first, then stronger. But this time, it did not spread like a weapon. It moved upward, toward the ships. Inside the observer vessels, systems began to react strangely. Their advanced AI struggled to calculate what was happening. The child was not attacking. He was sharing. Memories flowed upward. Human cities destroyed, alien worlds burned, soldiers crying alone in darkness, mothers losing children, children losing parents, pain from both sides. Together, the observers had studied wars for thousands of years, but they had never felt them. Now they did. Inside their ships, silence replaced calculation. The beam of light slowly faded. The voice returned. But different now. Emotional integration confirmed. Probability of large-scale war reduced. There was a pause, then hybrid designated as peace catalyst. The massive ships slowly began to rise higher into orbit. Before leaving, the voice spoke one final time. Earth is now under monitored protection. And then they were gone. The sky cleared completely. Systems restarted. The battlefield remained quiet. No one moved for several seconds. Then the human commander slowly approached. The Queen again. "This is bigger than us now," he said. "Yes," she replied. "But it started with a choice." She looked down at the child. He looked exhausted, but he was smiling slightly. Alien generals lowered their heads respectfully. Human soldiers did the same. Not to a queen, not to a ruler, but to a child who refused to hate. The Queen placed one hand gently on his shoulder. "From this day," she announced, "there will be no war between our people." The human commander nodded. "We rebuild together." The wind moved across the battlefield again, but this time, it did not carry smoke. It carried something new. Hope. And far beyond the stars, many civilizations now knew one truth: the most powerful force in the galaxy was not a fleet, not a weapon, not an empire. It was a human child who chose peace,